It's official, we have successfully closed out the books for 2017. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's to look back on the good, the bad, and just plain weird things that happened in Chicago for 2017. The political end of 2016 rolled over into January with fresh protests and marches all over Chicago. People gathered at O'Hare for protest of the immigration bans, and a large number turned out for the women's marches downtown. While all this was happening, Chicago weather was throwing us a curveball, with January only receiving trace amounts of snowfall, and we also went 8 days without sunshine. Not your typical Chicago winter. Thanks, Obama. February continued January's trend of no snow, and we closed out the winter with only 18 inches of snowfall. A January and February in Chicago with no snow has never happened. Ever. 154 West Superior, or affectionately known as the Up building, became famous when it sold to a developer. The 1888 Italianate building had a similar story to Pixar's famous film Up. The owner decided not to sell it during a construction boom, so the building became sandwiched between two massive developments. The Up House will be around for a little longer, as the current owners say they plan to restore it. At the Oscars, we were introduced to Gary from Chicago as part of a Jimmy Kimmel sketch.
Gary Allen Cole from Chicago.
However, the media became more interested in Gary's sketchy past than the sketch itself. February saw the biggest Chicago throwdown online when Reddit user BigBen2010 offered up $300 to get his hands on some Portillo's lemon cake. The cake, which hadn't been sold by Portillo's for 10 years, was discontinued because the frosting would make the layers slide over time and compromise the structure of the cake. Yep. Good news for BigBen2010, the Portillo's marketing team was on point and they reached out to make his dream come true. And the hype for Portillo's lemon cake continued into March as BigBen2010 got his cake, and Portillo's decided to reintroduce the lemon cake for a limited amount of time in stores later in the year. If you took the lemon cake to go, you could enjoy it in Amazon's new bookstore, which opened on the Southport corridor. This wouldn't be the only Amazon hype we would see for the year. As we said goodbye to winter, we were reminded of its effects, as Illinois was tied for first place with Connecticut for having the worst roads in the United States. Apparently, you'll find the best roads in Indiana. In April, you were either being dragged off a United flight or dragged to the new park at Wrigley. Cubs fans would be able to watch the game from outside the ballpark in another park that from the air looked a little suggestive. Though you would have to make it onto the plane first, which proved difficult for one passenger at O'Hare when he was forcibly removed by airport security. It was a lesson in how not to handle a PR situation, as a massive backlash on United caused a lot of heat. And judging by this job posting, it's clear to say they didn't like the way it was handled either. The strange weather we received earlier in the year seemed to be affecting the animals. Coyotes were on the prowl, as one Reddit user snapped this National Geographic award-winning photograph. And in May, a deer decided to swim in Lake Michigan. There must be something in the water. May was a good reminder of Chicago's premier dining options, as the world's first Nutella cafe was opened in Chicago. The cafe doesn't have a crazy dress code, unlike Bottled Blonde, a lively Italian eatery who posted this very specific dress code. It ended up bringing them a lot more attention than they wanted. Joining the deer in Lake Michigan was a dog who was saved by a Chicago police officer. The police were responding to a crash on Lakeshore Drive, and it was believed that the dog ran from one of the cars and tried to grab a drink from the lake. Trying a little too hard, he fell in, and it was all captured by ABC7's helicopter. It was a perfect combination for a viral video. The dog, who is called Boogie by the way, amassed 1.6 million views on Facebook alone. In June, another heroic act took place in Wicker Park as a man stopped an assault from happening as he scared off the attacker with a sword. A sword purchased from medieval times, no less. Mac Dolan awoke to a disturbance in his apartment and found a random man attacking a female guest who was staying in the living room. Mac grabbed his $100 sword, which was purchased on a drunken night to medieval times, and scared off the intruder. He was later apprehended because he left his wallet at the scene. In July, on National Hot Dog Day, Heinz tried to fool Chicagoans into putting ketchup on their hot dog by releasing Chicago dog sauce. If you didn't know, the ingredients on a Chicago hot dog are a Vienna beef dog, onions, green relish, pickles, tomatoes, sports peppers, celery, salt, and mustard on a poppy seed bun. Why? Nobody knows why. Ketchup is not on that list, so it's become a cardinal rule not to include it. Honestly, if there was one person who would put ketchup on their hot dog, it's probably Jojo, Jules' new furry red mascot. I see no need for mascots other than in sports, so it really surprised me that a supermarket decided they needed one. The eclipse had everyone looking up in August, but in Chicago, most people were disappointed because all they got was a cloudy view. Others went south to experience totality and had plenty of time to reminisce in the bumper-to-bumper traffic back to Chicago. This month, we received a new tax, a new train station, and a new holiday. August 4th became Barack Obama Day as Illinois declared it a state commemorative holiday. The Washington Wabash station opened in the Loop and the Cook County sweetened beverage tax took effect. The new tax was off to a rocky start as some chain retailers didn't know if LaCroix was sweetened or not. The saddest news came this month as we found out that Sue, the T-Rex from the Field Museum, was going to be relocated. But luckily, she'll be getting her own room. Another tragic loss for Chicago, as a Huffington Post writer decided to give up on Chicago and move out. His parting essay, which was painfully hard to read, was also reassuring that Chicago wasn't going to miss him at all. The Cubs won the Central Division, although it was looking pretty bad against the Dodgers by the end of the month. And on the first day of October, they were out. Pressing rain in Chicago flooded the Riverwalk downtown, and Chicago became a feature in the Netflix series Stranger Things. Yet, the skyline didn't match the TV show's 1980s setting, with modern buildings such as the Blue Cross Blue Shield completed in 2010 and the Trump International Hotel and Tower completed in 2009 were visible. This wasn't the only recreation to spark interest this month. The Chicago Local 1 ironworkers recreated the iconic lunch atop a skyscraper photo from 1932. Hats off for this remarkable achievement, and I'm sure they had ample opportunity because there was a lot of construction going on in Chicago. Notably, the Apple store just opened. However, they didn't end up going with the Apple logo on top, which was spotted during construction. With all this construction hype, Chicago wanted even more, as the city announced it planned to put in a bid to attract the new Amazon headquarters. Amazon successfully made all major cities in America feel like first-time job applicants when they announced their intention to build another headquarters. And for the right price, they'll do it in your city, bringing a juicy cash flow of taxes and workers with it. Citing mounting pressure, Cook County decided to repeal the sweetened beverage tax.
Because raising the POP at that point will cause more people to consume water.
While the Cook County tax was repealed, Chicago still has its old soda tax, which remains. November brought the first snow to Chicago as the city decided to sue Uber and US Steel and others like Equifax. New York Mayor's press secretary said Chicago pizza was better than New York's, and Elon Musk said he's going to help out with the Express Line train to O'Hare. Not going to hold my breath on that one. November also marked the closing of DNA Info, a hyper-local news outlet that provided an essential service to Chicago and its communities. The whole situation was a mess and caught everyone off guard, and I'm not going to go into the specifics, but this was a huge loss for Chicago. The end of the sweetened beverage tax, and Apple was struggling with icicles on their roof. There was good news, there was no arrest at T-Box, and we managed to finish off with a white Christmas and no Chi-Town Rising. The New Year's celebration, which was sponsored by Corona, was just too cold and, well, unpopular. This year was my first full year making videos in Chicago, and in 2017 I released 54 videos. It was a great way to learn about Chicago, meet new creators, and even experiment with longer form content. Thank you for all your support. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell. It will give you a notification when I release a new video. In Chicago, there's a story on every corner, and you'll be able to learn a few of them on my channel. So here's to a successful 2018. Cheers.